I'm Alexandra Francis and this is Chloe Harbutt, and we are members of the private client team. So we often hear about probate, but what is probate?
So quite a lot of people refer to probate as the period after death, but what it actually is a physical document which contains a seal on it that's issued by the probate registry. There are different types of grant of probate depending on whether there is a will or no will. Where there is a will, there will be a grant of probate. Where there isn't a will, there will be letters of administration, which is also still referred to as the grant. This is the legal authority, essentially, for the executors or administrators to deal with the deceased estate. And that's what enables them to act following a death. Okay, so Alexandra, what is the process when someone dies? What do we have to do?
Well, the first thing that we have to do is actually register the death. The next thing then to do is to consider, is there a will? And if so, who's appointed as the executors? The executors would have the legal authority under the grant of probate to deal with the estate, but it may be the case that there isn't a will, and that's something that has to be looked into. Maybe wills have to be looked for at various firms, and if there isn't one, we look at the intestacy rules. It's then a case we have to consider what the assets and liabilities are at the date of death, and also what their value is at the date of death, because that will dictate what then happens. It may be the case that inheritance tax is payable, and if that's the case, then that has to be arranged. Forms then have to be completed, possibly to send to HMRC, possibly not, all depending upon the situation. And we also have to make an application for the grant to the probate registry. After some time, we get the grant back, and then, as you mentioned, that gives the legal authority to deal with the assets. So we can either sell them, transfer them, or call them in if they're bank accounts. So how can we help clients?
So we can be as involved as clients would like us to be. We can be involved from the very first day, advising them on what to do following a death. So whether that's registering the death, dealing with the funeral, things like that, we can take them through step by step what to do and advise them on the probate process. Then after post-grant, what happens then? Especially if we are appointed as executor, as we can be in some scenarios, we would be involved from the first day, essentially. Unless clients are happy to deal with the majority of the probate process themselves, we can be advising them at the outset in respect of the will, what it means, what they need to do. Then clients tend to go off themselves, obtain values, things like that, and then we draft the papers for them for the probate registry. We can also contact institutions for them, advise them on the inheritance tax implications, capital gains tax and income tax of the administration of the estate. We advise regularly on trusts, whether that be in the will or during lifetime, whether they were a beneficiary of a trust in terms of the deceased. It also brings to the forefront the executors and the beneficiaries' own estate planning. We can also assist with that after the probate has been obtained and the estate wound up. So a question that we often get asked when dealing with probates is, how much is all of this going to cost, and how is it going to be paid for?
Absolutely. So it very much depends upon the work that needs doing, and no two estates are the same. So what we tend to do is, once we know what's in the estate, what assets, what liabilities there are, and how complex it will be, we can then provide you with an estimate for how much we think it's going to cost. It will then be paid from the estate, providing the estate has got sufficient assets to pay for it. And if it doesn't, we can have that conversation.
Thank you, Alexandra, that was really useful. If you find yourselves in a situation such as this in the future, please do not hesitate to contact us, and if you could go to our website, our contact details are on there.